Now, we have talked a lot about Mahakala and his various forms. So really what we've been talking about is we've been talking about iconography and the different types of artistic representations that Mahakala can take. Primarily painting, because painting is the clearest because it shows color, it shows context. Sculpture can be a little bit more difficult to analyze without understanding the general form, color, and mood. But I'd like to just speak a little bit about the context of Mahakala, because that's really something else, and it's more on the religious studies side. The way Mahakala is presented in art and iconography is from the point of view of listing, of categorizing, and also from a religious point of view in compendiums or compendia of the different compendia of collections of meditational forms from India and Nepal and then later Tibet. These deity forms are grouped together often. So, such as the Sadhanamala, then you would have all of the Manjushri, 20, 30 different forms, followed by a few, probably Yamari forms, the wrathful Krishna Yamari. And then you would have Avalokiteshvara, followed by Tara, followed by Prajna Paramita, and then Sarasvati, and then Chunda, and then Marichi, and then Kurukul. You have these large collections which make it easy for listing out all of the common meditation forms. Plus, there's information within these for giving the initiations for each of them. So there are these really kind of condensed collections of meditation practices. And how we understand the iconography in relation to making paintings or sculptural forms is often these kind of collections of meditations or collections of sadhana practice are used. But I want to make it clear that there is no overriding system or theory of practice of Mahakala. You know, we've talked at a little bit of length about the Panjanata, one-faced, two-armed Mahakala, Chaturbhuja, the one-faced, four-armed, the Chaturmukha, the four-faced, four-armed, the Shadbhuja, one-faced, six-armed, or three-faced, six-armed, the Bhagavat class, which has many one-faced, two-armed forms of Mahakala, and then the Raudrantika, which often is riding a horse. And all of these six have many different forms. But they're all independent. They all come from different tantras. There's no one system. They come from, now some of them come from their own tantra, like the Shangpa-Kagyu Shadbhuja one-face six-arm Mahakala comes from the 8-chapter Mahakala Tantra. Some of these are based on the 25-chapter Mahakala Tantra, and others are based on the 50-chapter Mahakala Tantra. But then others, such as the Panjanata, can be found in the 50 chapter, but it's also found in the Hevajra Tantra and the Vajrapanjara Tantra. So we have many different texts. Some texts are devoted exclusively to Mahakala and discuss a number of different forms or a single form. But then we have other tantras that are very major in their scope of tantric theory, such as Chakrasamvara, Hevajra, Guhya Samaja. We have many of these. And so we end up with many different forms of Mahakala. And they all are dependent upon the text they come from and the theory that is proposed in that Tantra system. So aside from those, there's many Nyingmapa. many Nyingma systems coming out of the old Kama as well as the new revealed treasure, Terma traditions. So there's many forms of Mahakala. They all have one thing in common. They have the name, they have the general function of protection or the fiercest form coming out of a system. But they're all different. They don't talk to one another. The different tantric systems and traditions and lineages do not interact with one another. They're independent systems that operate within Tibetan or Himalayan traditions of Buddhist practice. So we shouldn't conflate them all. In art and iconography, we tend to conflate so that they're easier to understand, and we can differentiate. And by differentiating, then we can then identify, oh, is this a Sakya, or is this Drikung Kagyu, or is this Jangter Nyingma? It's made easy that way for us who are looking at the art and trying to identify traditions and locations, regions, time periods. But let's not conflate them in a religious sense, in a religious context sense. So that's my main point here.